What up, though, my brothers and sisters? I said that purposely because I'm always accused of, Pastor, sometimes you just want to be so hip, it's just funny. Well, I'm not trying to be hip. It was just something that I wanted to do. We have a serious subject to talk about today, and it's called high expectations. High expectations. Now, right away, a person would say, well, Pastor, why would that be a problem? We should have high expectations. We should have lofty goals and aspirations. The problem is, and especially among Christian people, is that we can have such high expectations of others that it actually causes us issues. It causes us problems. I was reading a wonderful article the other day about this very subject, and I said, oh, let me pay attention to this. It's not so much we have high expectations, the article said, we have exact expectations. And so we expect people to respond in a particular way that's comfortable for us. And they may not even know that you have that expectation. And this is the way they categorized it. They said all of us depend on others, but some of us depend over others. Wow. I thought that to be very, very interesting. We depend over others, so we're constantly looking for a particular response. Now, the reason this is important, all through the Bible, we're seeing human beings are seen as flawed individuals. We're flawed. We're far more flawed than we are not. Therefore, we make mistakes. We hurt people's feelings. Sometimes we're not as respectful as we should be. All right. Sometimes we say things in a way that are offensive to people. But the question is, why do we have such high expectations of flawed individuals? So it says, one of the things to alleviate some stress in our lives is to not have exact expectations, to not be looking for exact responses as if your mate, your friend, or your significant other has gone to school and become an expert in simply how to respond to you. And so when I thought about that and I was looking at my own self, I was like, wow, that's kind of helpful. That's kind of helpful. I already know that as a human being, if I'm flawed, others are flawed, and so I shouldn't expect that I will make mistakes, but other people will not. So it was just a great article. I love that phrase. It's not depending on others that's the problem. It's depending over them. Get this. This was interesting. It said, depending on people we love to offset our deficiencies is negative. We shouldn't expect others to simply offset our deficiencies. That paints, or at least, very least, paints a person into a corner because now they're constantly walking on flypaper. Well, given some situations that's happened in the last few weeks, this thing was really an eye-opener for me. And it said, maybe you just simply are expecting too much, and therefore causing your own self-conflict because you're not depending on them, you're depending over them. Could this be a possibility? Could it be that sometimes we just simply want people to respond in an exact way, a very particular way, a predetermined way? And therefore, that predisposition that we have about their response is constantly coloring every response they make. Man, that was kind of interesting. So it says, would it hurt to simply just lower, in certain situations, just lower a bit the expectation to the response that you're looking for, and accept the response instead of dictating an exact response. And they simply call that high expectations. So I found it to be very interesting. As people of God, it's more compassionate to allow people to respond than to ask them to accommodate your exact response. I said to myself, that's something to think about.